Welcome.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where we're going to be talking about the thing that actually happened. RCB have made the playoffs. They've won about 900 matches in a row to come back from nowhere, overhaul Chennai Super Kings at the last. Drama with Dhoni and Kohli and fans and people running everywhere and no handshakes and rage and a lot more. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Max Rowe Brown to go over everything IPL once more. How you doing, Max?
I'm devastated, Jack. You know, my life no longer has meaning after what happened this weekend. As a CSK fan, I'm now wearing a blue T-shirt because, you know, that's the colour of RCB and they are the greatest team of all time.
Maybe that's the secret. Maybe changing from black to blue. We mocked it, but now look. Perhaps there was something to the whole black is bad luck theory.
Yeah, well, Man City just won the Premier League today, wearing blue, of course.
True. Yeah. Facts.
Evidence is
PSG,
mounting.
they wear blue.
Yeah.
And more teams also wear blue. Italy in football, for example. Max, we're going to be talking about the IPL games that took place over the last few days. Obviously, the primary focus here will be on Chennai Super Kings v the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, but we've got a couple of rain-offs to talk about. We've got the race for second place, Sunrisers Hyderabad securing that today, and a little look forward to Eliminator and qualifier contests coming up this week. Before we get to all of that, just a reminder to you to make sure you click like and subscribe. If you're over on YouTube as well, why don't you drop us a little message in the chat, say hello, and you know, get involved. Get involved that way. Max, what happened? Well, first of all, today was rained off. We can get that off the books. Rajasthan Royals. How did you even do this? We need better planning, Max, is what we need. We need better planning. We're going to do RCB v CSK first. That's the big news, isn't it? What happened?
That's what everyone's here for, isn't it? Let's talk about that. And then,
you
know, we'll briefly talk about some other cricket that also happened. But yes, RCB, Chennai. We all knew the equation. The equation had been plastered all over Twitter and Instagram and wherever you looked if you liked cricket for the last week. And it was that RCB needed to win by more than, 18 or so at a score of around 200. Yeah. And or chase things down within 18.1 overs. That was roughly what we're looking at. RCB bat first. So it was the former that they were aiming for. And it was, I'd say this game had like more subplots than you could possibly have asked for. It twisted, it turned, it was everything you could have wanted from a game that had so much riding in it and so many different permutations, I suppose. And you know, to get things started, it was kind of an old school T20 performance from RCB in a way. Like Faf and Virat got off to a decent start, didn't lose a wicket off the power play. A solid foundation. They were 80 odd for one at the halfway stage, which is, you know, it's not pulling up any trees. And, you know, when you think about this IPL this year, batting first at the Chinnaswamy, you're thinking, you know, you're going to be going a bit quicker than that. But it's a good platform. You've not lost any wickets. It gives you an opportunity to go and cut loose at the end. And that is basically what happened, because once the spinners were out the way, it was left to, Shardul Thakur and Tushar Deshpande to bowl death overs in a back garden, and it went badly. It went really badly. It could have gone less badly if Gaikwad had caught the ball when it was hit straight at him. He didn't do that. He threw it for 4, and on went RCB went 218 for 5. They racked up, and it was basically a game of can Chennai score 201, and to start with, it looked like it wasn't going to happen at all. Gaikwad was out first ball, just steering it to square leg like I did at the weekend. Then Daryl Mitchell fell. Ravindra came back into it, making the most of some wayward Lockie Ferguson bowling. Rahane did okay, but Jack, when we spoke about this before the weekend, I said the key to this game for CSK is going to be Shivam Dubé. And what I didn't expect was that I would be so right in the sense that he, A, barbecued the guy who was on 60 odd or 30 odd, and took one step towards losing the game, and at the same time scored at a strike rate of 46 off 15 balls before immediately after barbecuing his mate, plonking one to a fielder on the boundary off Glenn Maxwell, and pretty much assigning CSK to defeat. Until, of course, the final over. There was still hope. Jadeja came in, and Jadeja became a death hitter and scored quickly and hit sixes, and what was going on? And then MS Dhoni came in, and you were like, this is so set up for MS Dhoni to score a miracle innings. 17 off the last over. Yash Dayal bowling it, famously destroyed by Rinku Singh, full tosses galore. A slippery ball. The first ball goes for 6. You think this is on. Dhoni's going to do it. 11 off 5. Unfortunately, hit the ball too far. Then they had to get a new ball, which you could actually grip. Bowled some really good slower balls. Dhoni was out next ball. The Lord, he couldn't do it. And that was it. It was over. CSK, the dream, died. And RCB went mental, ran all over the place, and made some people sad because they didn't shake hands or give Dhoni a hero's send-off or any of the rest of it. So, that was fun too. But, I mean, fair play, RCB. They actually did it. It was a 1 in 100 shot, and they did it.
Yeah, fair play to them. I mean, much maligned team. Ross is so devastated, for example, that his call that they would finish last in the IPL, which he was still clinging on to about 6 days ago, hasn't come to fruition, and that they pulled this off, that he's decided to move to Scotland and quit the cricket podcast. I, for one, love it. I think this was fantastic. I think this is what the IPL needed this year. It had been. We hadn't had many twists and turns. We'd seen basically 4 teams that looked quite competent running away with the league, and a succession of other teams kind of go through the motions and be quite bad. And RCB were in that group, and then they suddenly got it together, and then all the results went their way. And then they get this absolute crackerjack of a game where they rack up a big score, and then there's permutations and different things that can happen, and you have a situation where, probably the biggest player of his generation is batting in the last over. He hits a 95-meter 6 in potentially his last season. It looks like he's going to take his team to the playoffs. There's history. There's even the backstory with Yash Dayal, as you were saying, and Rinku Singh and what happened to him there. And you're thinking, there's no way this guy, it's absolute. I mean, let's be clear about it. This pie lobber is going to stop Dhoni, and he does. Like, very next ball, he's out caught on the rope. And I think it's fair enough to RCB. I'm like, why should you not celebrate the culmination of one of the greatest runs in franchise cricket history? Maybe one of the greatest runs in tournament cricket history. It's up there with like Australia in the 99 World Cup, maybe, where they had to win all those games in a row, and they did, and then they won it, and that obviously had that amazing semi-final. And this run has this game, and it probably won't have the lasting legacy, certainly from a global perspective, but I think it will have a legacy. It was a great game, and RCB deserved that moment of utter jubilation. They deserve to run all over the place, and they deserve to not care whether Dhoni wanted to shake their hands or not, because they pulled off a miracle. This is why people play sport. This is why people love sport. That kind of where you can't really actually even express it in emotions. You're just running with 2 cliffs fence, screaming like Virat
pure
Kohli.
Catharsis. It's like you just animal instincts. Like,
no
one
one
is thinking
this team.
Yeah, no one is thinking.
They're not the team that do this.
No,
they're the team that have it in their hands, and then Dhoni takes it away from them in the last over.
Yeah,
they're the team where Yash Dayal, they bring in Yash Dayal as a death over, and it comes home to roost at the crucial time. That's what should have happened here. They're the team that get hit for 97-meter 6s or whatever it was in the final over out the stadium, and everyone laughs at them and goes, ha, 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 it happened again. Except it didn't this time, did it? And then they get that moment. And they're the team, whoever was laughing at them because it was supposed to rain too much. The game wasn't even supposed to happen. I mean, like, there was like the whole other subplot. We did a podcast on this, 4 days ago or whatever. We were like, this is going to rain. All this stuff that we're talking about doesn't matter because CSK are going to get through basically because it's going to rain. And the rain held off. They needed to even get the full 20 overs in. It wouldn't have worked had they played 15 overs aside or something like that. They needed all of that. It's all come together. Mayhem, great stadium, a great moment, a great game. Yeah, Max, I thought it was good. Maybe you can tell.
Nicely put. I just think like on the point about people getting a bit funny about them running all over the place. Like how can your immediate reaction to watching that be, I can't believe they didn't like immediately go and shake hands or like clap Dhoni off the pitch or something. Like it's pure sport and pure emotions, and like if you don't enjoy those moments when they happen, when are you going to enjoy them? So like let's be real here. Like that was what they pulled off was absolutely phenomenal, and you gotta say fair play. Like there were so many moments in that game where it could have gone either way, could have gone the other way, and it all came up RCB, and it's going to be interesting to see whether they can carry that into the eliminator. You've got basically a team that's won 6 on the bounce out of nowhere against a team that's lost 4 in a row and then had a game rained off, heading off for a place in the qualifier. Like there's even more subplots coming up.
I don't even think it matters. I think RCB just getting to the playoffs here, that's success. Yeah. It wasn't supposed to happen. Like enjoy the miracle. And if you get knocked out in the next game, who cares? You'll always have that 7-match run. You'll always have that moment where Yash Dayal got out Dhoni in his last ever match, maybe. Like
that's the other thing. We don't even know if it's the last ever match. So why would you be going and like clapping him off? He hasn't even retired yet.
There's apparently it was a 110-meter 6. I don't know if it was. It was a big 6. Yeah. Well, there's some serious bragging rights you get there.
In Kevin Peterson's world, Dhoni scored 12, and CSK are through.
Oh, that guy's an idiot. Max, there's a few other things, like in terms of the cricket itself. Lots of people have been asking, I mean, like, are RCB actually good now? Can you answer that? Like, is this a good team?
Yeah, I mean, they've got serious failings, haven't they? We saw them in the game. Lockie Ferguson spraying it all over the place in that over where he bowled a full toss at Ravindra's head, and he did it again later on as well. In like the penultimate over, bowled. He was lucky that didn't get tickled for 4 or 6, because that was another really awful delivery. They've Yash Dayal, like you say, bowling the final over shouldn't really be working, and they got off to a slow start and kind of got bailed out a little bit, but they've found a way to win, and it's a bit in a way like the resurgence of Delhi Capitals, but just more extreme. And they've just lent into what they're good at, which is batting, and they've made the most of what they've got with the ball. They've been moving things around a bit. I think the use of Swapnil Singh's been useful. He sort of come in and bowled a few power play overs, like come and caused a few problems. That means you don't have to bowl as many overs of Khan Sharma, which is probably a bonus. And I think Siraj finding some form, obviously helpful as well. He had a bit of a bad start, didn't he, to the IPL? We thought it was going to be the classic yo-yo year for Siraj, but he's found a bit of form, found a bit of life with the ball, and he's basically their main weapon as a seam bowler. So that's definitely helped. But I mean, they're all about batting, aren't they? They've got to pretty much post a score of 200 to win a game of cricket, you feel, which hasn't been that rare this year. It's been quite a common theme, but they've done that consistently, and that's been helpful, basically.
Yeah, I think they're pretty. I mean, like I love it. I love it. I love that RCB have done what they've done. I want them to go on and win the Cole Trophy now.
Yeah,
I think there's some other factors in there if you want to give a proper overview of this year's IPL. A team has qualified in a 10-team league with having won half their matches to
Yes,
finish. Like that's quite unlikely.
4 teams, 7 and 7.
Yes, that's quite unlikely, and that suggests that maybe they're not very good, because that usually wouldn't mean you made the playoffs. Another one of the things, like one of the fundamentals of like analyzing anything, is to not let random events change your kind of baselines for things, and I think there's an element of that happening here. With, if you actually want to place how good RCB are, maybe people don't. Maybe people just want to enjoy the ride, and that's fine. But if you're saying, is this a good team? I think I don't think they've done anything in this stretch of 6 games that's actually made me change my assumptions of how good they are. And just to give you an example of what I mean here, Max, if I ask you to rank these 3 batters, I think this should be quite easy for you. Can you do this? Surya Kumar Yadav, Shivam Dubey, Rajat Patidar.
I'm going.
Who's top? just the order you said them. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think most of the audience are going to agree with that. But if you're going to rank them just on their last 6 innings, what order would you have them in?
Yeah, well, Patidar. Patidar, Sky Dubey, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and so I think when you are looking at this season and you're looking at why RCB are here, you do have to bear in mind that some kind of weird stuff has gone down. Actually, some of the, Dubey was plucked out of thin air a little bit when I was doing my notes earlier on, but he's kind of involved in this reversal. Not quite to the same extent as Patidar, but certainly involved in it. And I think what I'm saying here is that just because Patidar has been really good for 6 games doesn't necessarily mean that RCB are a great cricket team now. But I do enjoy it, and he has been good for 6 games, and so fair play to him. Max, there's some other good bits of the match. Did you enjoy Faf du Plessis' catch?
Oh, that was stunning, wasn't it? That was a classic Faf, like super Faf catch. Really, and again, like at a crucial moment, just starting to get back into it, weren't they? CSK, they were looking like they were kicking on, and it was a full toss, like low full toss, and sometimes low full tosses get wickets. But it's those little moments. Faf pulls off an outstanding catch. Gaikwad drops one on the boundary. Those moments in games like this always end up looking crucial, don't they? And was it 37 now, Faf? Good effort.
I think he might even be older than that, to be honest.
39, maybe?
Let's get Faf du Plessis' age. Let's name and shame his age.
Yeah.
He is 39.
39.
Yeah, he is 40.
He's nearly 40. Yeah.
Yeah. That was incredible. I mean, what I thought was most impressive about that? Like, obviously, the athleticism to actually get up that high and catch it and time the jump and all that was good. He had to move a long way. It was a good 5 or 6 yards that he had to, and he had to go immediately as well. He got an amazing jump on that ball. A lot of credit has to go to that. Did we do the Dhoni lack of respect enough as well? So I feel like this is where we really need to weigh in and have a strong opinion one way or the other.
Well,
I think I said it was fine for people to celebrate. Michael Vaughan and Harsha Bhogle. I don't know if this is actually true. I've seen there's a clip going around. Yeah. And in the clip, they're purported to say that RCB shouldn't have celebrated taking Dhoni's wicket out of respect. Did that actually happen? Can you confirm? Can somebody confirm whether that actually happened?
Someone please confirm whether that actually happened, because that is insane. That's possibly the worst take in the history of cricket.
Yes.
And not something I'd expect from Harsha Bhogle. I'd expect it from Michael Vaughan, sure, but I wouldn't.
Of course, you'd expect it from Michael Vaughan. He's an idiot.
I wouldn't expect it from Harsha Bhogle because that requires having an opinion, and that doesn't normally happen. But why would you? I mean, you would celebrate all the more because it's Dhoni.
It's true. Apparently,
it's a mark of respect. Yes, exactly. It's a mark of respect that you celebrate that much when you've got someone out, because that shows to them how important it is that wicket is. It's a completely nonsensical, arse about face way of of analysing what happened. It's completely.
Apparently
it's
it was
completely bonkers.
Apparently, it was after the match and not when he was out. But
Right. Okay.
But
Well, I mean,
why? I mean, you must hate cricket and
Yeah.
sport and life if you think that you shouldn't be celebrating.
The guy hasn't even retired. Like there was one thing though. There was the one thing.
Just a bloke. He's just a man.
The one thing that that's not true though, Jack. The one thing that I did find a little not grating, but questionable was the way RCB celebrated after the penultimate ball. Because obviously that was a dot ball, so there were 10 left to get off the final ball, and they all went mental, running around like crazy, like we've won it, and you're just like, I mean, Yash Dayal could bowl a no ball 6 here, and you'd lose, and I mean that would have been phenomenal.
No, I was fully on board with that.
Okay,
because it showed how in the moment they were, and I think there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of franchise cricket, and there's a lot of franchise cricket where I think it's probably fair to say the players aren't that bothered about whether they win or lose. They do care, but it's not pure ecstasy. And that was like pure ecstasy. Like the game wasn't finished, and Yash Dayal was doing a victory.
I mean, I don't think it was like I'm not saying it was an affront or anything. Like it was disrespectful. I'm just saying it was a bit risky, a bit premature, maybe.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, do the premature celebration as well. Final thing, Max, I think is for us, do RCB deserve it? So I think we said that they're maybe still not a great cricket team, but they finished level on points with CSK, Delhi, and Lucknow as well. Are they better than those 4? Are they the best of those 4 teams? The buttercream.
I mean, you can't really say that they don't deserve it after what they've achieved, and like winning 6 games in a row doesn't happen that often. It probably happens even less often when you've done it on the back of losing 6 in a row. But I think it's one of those things, like we were saying. Like if you look at it over the course of the season and say 7-7, is that unreasonable? Probably not. I mean, what I was saying about the batting and how that's become important in the back end. 5 of those games they've scored over 200. It was like 206, 201, 206, 218 against CSK. Put up big runs against was it Punjab or SRH in one of them. But yeah, I mean, there was one game where they didn't hit 200 basically, and that was a chase. And all the others they'd done it. And in the preceding 6 games, they'd scored 200 a couple of times, and that was failing to chase ridiculously big scores. One was when SRH broke their own record, and one was KKR scoring 220, 230 odd, where they didn't get that far away. And all the others around 180. And that basically tells you all you need to know about RCB as a side. Like their bowling isn't good enough. We all know that. So they're reliant on their batting to dig them out of the hole. And you've basically got to say well done to the batting unit in the last 6 games for putting up scores that are high enough for their bowlers to defend. And how could I don't think you can say they don't deserve it. I mean, the question of whether they're better than the other 3 teams, probably not better than Chennai. Probably not. They're probably better than Delhi. I don't know about Lucknow. They're more interesting than Lucknow, but I would say Lucknow are probably more competent. With Mayank Yadav, Lucknow are a better side. There's no
but they didn't have him. I think there's an element of this really involved is in that Chennai have not got Patarana, and that makes them a lot worse.
And Mustafiz
and the Fizz, and Conway. And Lucknow don't have Mayank Yadav, and he makes them a lot worse. And Delhi only started picking their real team halfway through the season, so
they don't deserve it. They got lucky.
No, but I think they fully do deserve it. Like, you can only beat what's in front of you, and they did.
They are though, Jack.
Last thing,
very
Max,
importantly,
I don't care anything about RCB. Yeah, go on.
Well, very importantly, they're bottom of the fair play table. So,
good for them. That's good.
They should be expelled from the competition.
Last thing, and this is potentially the last ever MS Dhoni game. Do you have any final words on Dhoni if we never see him play cricket again?
Greatest ever captain of a franchise cricket side, greatest ever captain of India, and still going. Like this, I thought he was done a couple of years ago. He sort of did this thing where he'd come in and take things deep and not do much, and he's taken away the bit where you take things deep in the last couple of years, and literally just come in for 10 balls and scored at 200, 300, 400, like literally
striking the number of times.
Yeah, the number of times he's come in and just faced one ball and hit a six. Like it's weird, and yeah, you can only say that must be, when it comes to Dhoni, probably something that he's been aiming to do, because he's been holding himself back or Gaikwad's been holding him back to come in those situations, and he's made the most of them. So you just have to admire how, even at the age that he is, he's still finding a way to be useful and doing it successfully. Slight change up to what he's done throughout his career, and still keeping himself relevant, and fair play to him that. But yeah, the legacy will live long in the memory, regardless, and we will miss Dhoni, and CSK will miss Dhoni, and they won't be the same if he's not there. But they'll have a lot of money to spend.
That's true. Like, look, he's 41 this year. Was he 42? 42 this year. 43 in a month.
Yeah.
Or 2 months. 43 about the same time as Faf turns 40. I think there might be one more year in him. Personally.
You reckon?
I think there's two reasons for this. I think the manner of the exit, I think, will probably burn.
Yeah.
Like, Dhoni's quite a chill guy. Like, he's quite calm and cool. You don't see Dhoni raging too much, apart from that one time he tried to beat up the umpire.
Look, happens to the best of us. Ross will attest to that.
Yes. And yeah, so he is quite a cool guy, but you could see that yesterday that he actually broke character a little bit and was frustrated.
Yeah, he was gutted.
He does want to win. That's why I think I'm driving at. Like there is a thing when you see Dhoni do un-Dhoni things, it's because his team aren't winning or they've just lost. And I think that tells you that there's still something in there that's ticking. Like you said, he batted really, really well this year, and his wicketkeeping was fine across the season. Like, he was a better wicketkeeper than Phil Salt. So perhaps we'll see him. Perhaps we'll see him one more.
It doesn't feel right, does it? It doesn't feel like the right time for him to quit after that. Maybe after a while.
If it is, that's a great like analogy for what happens in sport. You don't necessarily get to choose the ideal time. Maybe the ideal time in hindsight was the end of James Anderson, another good example. Maybe the ideal time for Dhoni was last year when they won the trophy and he was the captain, and all of that. Maybe this year was for the peak ending.
Yeah,
a year too far. Although he's still obviously a really good player. I'm not saying he should have retired or that he wasn't valuable. I'm saying that if you want the great send off, it's unlikely you're going to win any given IPL. Probably it's going to end in disappointment. It does for 90% of the teams. And being Dhoni doesn't exclude you from that. Anyway, Max, we're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back. We'll talk about some rain and what that means. Maybe have a look forward to some upcoming matches across this week.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast, where we have a little bit more IPL group stage to wrap up. Max, we should probably start with today's rain off. So this afternoon, there was a game scheduled between the Rajasthan Royals and the Kolkata Knight Riders. Unfortunately, it didn't take place because of rain. So what that means is that Sunrisers, and I don't think we need to go through all of Sunrisers' 2 games. Sunrisers do make it through. Max, Sunrisers, talk to me. Are they a deserving second place?
I think they are. They've been so box office, just pure excitement levels this year. Sunrisers should be there. It's a shame, like you say, that it's ended up happening. I mean, you could say without the Rajasthan Royals being able to do anything about it, but I'd say that losing 4 games in a row is probably their opportunity to do something about it. So you can't really say too much about that. And Sunrisers did what they needed to do today in style for about 80% of the chase against Punjab. And the runs they've scored, the way they've scored them, their opening partnership of Head and Abhishek, obviously Heinrich Klaassen as well. And to be fair, Pat Cummins, the way he's come in, looked a bit ropey to start the tournament, but has really, got up to speed quickly with the tools he's got in the SRH side, used them really well, scored some useful runs down the order when needed to, bowled some difficult overs and done a decent job. And they look like an all-round good side, well drilled, know what they're doing. Sometimes it's going to fall flat because the way they approach the game is hell for leather, and when that goes wrong, it goes wrong, and you lose, which is possibly not possibly, but it's a great thing for them. It's a great thing for any team to finish second because it increases your chances of winning. So much more. But for a team like Sunrisers, where there is every chance of something falling in a heap, it just gives you that safety net that you need. So I've loved them for the entire tournament. KKR and Sunrise have been by far the most exciting teams, and I think fully deserving of top 2 places. It's going to be a great game. That.
I'm looking forward to that. I do like the playoff style with Tuesday's kind of semi-final, and then the second chance as well. I totally agree as well. I think the two best teams are finishing the top 2 is the easy way to say it. Sunrisers obviously had to kind of go the long way round by winning their last 2 matches, but they did it pretty comfortably. In fact, it wasn't even winning their last 2 matches, was it? They got a rain off and a win.
Yeah.
So yeah, come on.
But it was against Gujarat, so they'd have been fine.
Yeah, they probably would have won, and they won them up with the game before that. So they won 2 of their last 3 matches, and they got a draw, Max. That's what happened. And like maybe my opinion here is slightly flavoured by the fact that Rajasthan lost 4 games in a row. But you look at their net run rates, you look at some of the wins Sunrisers have pulled off, you look at the scores Sunrisers have made, you look at Sunrisers having lost a couple of really close matches. The one that obviously springs to mind for most people is the game where Heinrich Klaassen went absolutely bananas and got out when the game was more or less in the bag, and they kind of bottled it a little bit. But what I'm saying is they could easily have 9 wins. The fact that they've got 8 probably is fair, and whether you love it or hate it, I think in this situation, net run rate is correct when it comes to the differentiator between Sunrisers and Rajasthan. I think that is the order. Although it would have been nice, obviously, to see a 7-over shootout this afternoon.
That would have been fun. That would have been a lot of fun. But
do you have any predictions for the eliminator?
Yeah, I quite fancy Sunrisers. And the reason I say that is because KKR haven't played their last 2 games and Phil Salt's gone. And there's just, there's a chance that maybe they're a bit cold. If Sunil Narayan doesn't fire for them, then that's basically the opening partnership gone that they've been relying on quite heavily so far this year to get off to fast starts. And, maybe it'll be just a little bit of ring rust. I mean, it's only been equally, you could say they're going to be beautifully rested and come at it firing. But I feel like Sunrisers are going into it, knowing that they've got an excellent shot. And what I love about Sunrisers, and, in comparison to the way Rajasthan Royals have been good, is that Rajasthan Royals are the kind of team where you're like, they're very competent and unlikely to end up with being out of the game after the first innings. It could happen if they ship a load of runs, like probably not going to be chasing 250, but for the most part, they're not going to be out of the game. But Sunrisers have every chance of just blowing a team away with the bat and just making it a non-contest after about 10 overs. That's what's so much fun. KKR are the same. But yeah, I fancy Sunrisers. Just a little thing.
I think the opposite. So the game is in Chennai, and I think that I think you can level a fair criticism at Sunrisers. The Sunrisers are a good team, but if you're looking at weaknesses, they do have a pretty bad spin bowling attack.
Yeah.
On a ground where you'd expect spin to be relatively important.
Chakravarti and Narayan. Yeah.
Yeah, KKR have got 2 frontline spinners, and they've used other spinners in the tournament. So it's we've seen Soyash and we've seen other people turn their arm over, bowling a little bit of off spin here and there. So I think they're just a little bit more complete. I think my opinion. And I know a lot of people, and I think there's you earlier on in the show. I did the Patidar Dubey Sky test, and you gave the right answers. And I think that you can say with KKR that there are similar elements to how some of their players have played this year that maybe are in excess of their actual talent, or maybe slightly outlier seasons. Narayan obviously being the number one candidate there, but it's not like the rest of the team have been bad. Like Narayan has been amazing with the bat. Like that is completely unprecedented that's happened. It is completely ridiculous. But like virtually every other player in their team has contributed in a major way, maybe with the exception of Mitchell Starc and the captain. And even they haven't been completely hopeless. Like Mitchell Starc has taken wickets in some of the matches. Like it's kind of funny that he always goes at 12 and over, but he has done some things that you would say are good. And similarly, if you're talking Shreyas Iyer, not a great year. I don't think anyone would say he's having a great year, but he's still scored 300 runs, give or take, still averaging 30. It's not total humiliation on that front. So I think KKR are better. I think the fact that it's so someone is saying qualify one is the Modi Dome.
Yeah, qualify one in the eliminator at the Ahmedabad, and qualify 2 in the final are in Chennai.
Oh, is it the other way around?
Yeah.
I've just got this. I just clicked the thing and scrolled to the bottom. Yeah, you're right. I was looking at the wrong game, which is embarrassing. I thought, well, even
a long weekend.
Even everything I said, just change in your heads to the Modi Dome, and I think it still applies this season. Like it has been a much more spin-friendly pitch than most of the other stadiums, and I would rather have KKR's side at the Modi Dome than SRH's. I totally get that SRH are capable of going nuts, and even more so than KKR. I mean, like Travis Head, Abhishek, and Klaassen have got the toppest of top gears, haven't they? Like it's bonkers. And without Phil Salt, KKR are downgraded on that front. Like Phil Salt's a guy who can match those three probably for pace of scoring. Might not be as dependable in terms of staying in, but can score quickly. Gurbaz can't, and I don't know. I think that's still doesn't concern me. I'm quite bullish on KKR this year, Max. Should we talk about the other one coming up, which is Rajasthan Royals v RCB? This one also at the Modi Dome. What are your thoughts here?
I feel like Rajasthan are just the better side, aren't they? They kind of overmatch RCB. You've got, for RCB, you got great power play bowling potential in Mohammad Siraj, and then you look at Rajasthan Royals and they've got Trent Bolt. You got, great openers for RCB.
Hold on, no, I'm not having that.
What are you saying? You're saying Trent Bolt isn't?
You can't match Siraj. No, Siraj is like he's a tricycle, and Trent Bolt's a motorbike.
That's what I'm saying.
Two different forms of transfer. Oh, okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I thought you were saying. Okay, right. I get you. I thought you were saying Mohammad Siraj and Trent Bolt equals.
No. I'm saying why? Yeah, Rajasthan. You look at what RCB have got, and then you compare it to Rajasthan. And you're like, well, the Rajasthan version is just a bit better, isn't it? In that case, a lot better. But openers. Okay, no Butler, so Kola Cadmore not anywhere near the as far as we are likely to see the levels of Kohli and Faf. But then you got Jaiswal. He's every chance of being really good, although not seeing much of it this year. Sanju Samson, like that's a better option at 3 than what RCB have got. And yeah, I just the spin department doesn't even compare. Using Chahal against Carnage is ridiculous. I just think, pound for pound, Rajasthan are a better side, even though they've been crap in the last 4 weeks. I think they should have enough to get over the line. They're a better team. But RCB, it's the RCB train, and the brakes have stopped working. So get in the way at your peril.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that, which is disappointing. It's better if we argue about things, but if you do look at the two teams, it is quite clear, I think, that Rajasthan are better. I wonder if there's a few things that could go wrong for Rajasthan. I mean, obviously Tom Kohler-Cadmore is not Joss Butler. I don't think anyone really needs that spelled out to them. So that's a potential weakness. But the guy isn't rubbish. Like, he's got a decent record. Like, I don't think we should be expecting him to, get 0 off 20 balls, do something heinously bad. He'll probably just be like random replacement guy level, and that's sort of fine. I think again, similar train of thought. I think Rajasthan are better when Shimron Hetmyer is fit, and the fact that he wasn't in the team again today suggests to me that he probably isn't fit still. And I don't know. Do you think that's another weakness, or do you think they can overcome that?
It is a loss for sure. Because he just gives them so much more down the order. But I think Rovman Powell's a decent player, and Rian Parag's been in really good form this year. So I don't think it's terminal. But when you take Joss Butler and Shimron Hetmyer out of the side, who, like Rajasthan, let's be fair, have relied on quite heavily in previous years for actually winning any games. This year's been where it's been quite different in that actually other facets of their team have stepped up and got them over the line. So I would be concerned, and I think there are players that RCB have got that can take the game away from the Rajasthan. I think came back. He was batting 6, which was a bit weird, but he came in, hit a couple of important 6s to keep things going. So yeah, I mean, there are just by no means are there no routes for RCB to win this game. They've got power in the middle order, and it could. It could show, but
I think that is true.
Yeah,
I think
Royals.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're basically saying is that Rajasthan are a better cricket team, but RCB do have 240 in their locker.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Rajasthan don't have that. Like, even if you put Hetmyer and Butler back in the team, I don't think Rajasthan have got that. So take definitely one of them out, and maybe 2 of them out. I'm thinking that there is there's a clear way that Rajasthan could lose that, but their bowling is good enough that really they should be able to stop RCB doing that.
Yeah.
Like they've got wicket taking options the whole way through. As long as we get good Chahal and not bad Chahal.
Yeah, I think Maharaj. I think Maharaj might be a smart pick as well. The RCB,
Maharaj,
right-hander central.
Yes, it could work. Max, I'm going to read some copy from Manscaped, then we're going to take a quick break. And I don't know if we've got anything else to wrap up the show in the final part. If you've got any questions, ask them. Why don't you ask some questions? We'll answer some questions.
We've done some questions for a while, haven't we?
We haven't done questions for a while, yeah. If you're watching live, drop your questions in the chat and we will try and get to a few of them. Fellas, blink if you haven't purchased a Father's Day gift yet. Max is blinking. Yeah, we thought so. Today's episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the leaders in below the waist grooming. Maybe your pops has had a bush since the 70s, and that's okay.
Oh, God.
Our friends at Manscaped have crafted the total package for his special day. Whether it's for his boys downstairs, his beard, or even the best pair of underwear out there. Like, that is true. They're great.
The underwear's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Manscaped has his bases covered. Head over to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CricketPod. From daddy to zaddy, trust Manscaped. I think we would recommend, Max, the Performance Package 5.0. Get the signature lawnmower included in that. Or if you think, perhaps buying the below the base stuff is a bit much for Father's Day. Could be a bit embarrassing if you open it in a family-oriented restaurant, for example. Then why not get the beard hedger? Use that to shape my beard. My dad, I saw him this weekend. He's got like a Father Christmas beard.
Has he?
It's ridiculous, yeah. So I'm in the market for a hedger. I think that would be something that could kind of get that under control. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code cricketpod at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code cricketpod. Never forget where you came from, if you know what I mean. Happy Father's Day from Manscaped. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in 2 seconds.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. We should mention our other sponsor, Serious Cricket. You can head to the show notes for a link to their website. The weather's warmed up in this country. No rain at all here. They should move the IPL to London for the final leg. That's what I say. And you'll probably be wanting to get some cricket kit if you're one of our listeners who plays. Serious Cricket are good at doing that. That's where I get all my stuff. So head to the show notes and do the same. Max, did we get any questions? What have we got?
Yeah, there's a few things coming in. I mean, I think we probably touched on it because you mentioned the net run rate thing, but Navneet was asking whether, based on the best net run rate so far in IPL history for KKR, are they one of the best IPL teams? I assume in history is what the question's getting at. Obviously, this year they are one of the best teams.
It's a difficult one to say. I think they have played like one of the best teams.
Yeah.
There is that question, like, is knowing what we know about Sunil Narine, for example, here. We've got over a decade of history about Sunil Narine's batting. Is it reasonable to assume that Sunil Narine is just, being a bit lucky, having a good year, managed to put together a string of kind of miraculous performances, or is it more reasonable to think that Sunil Narine is now literally this good at batting? I'm more in the former camp, and for me, that plays into like the best team of all time narrative. Like I think if you're wildly outperforming expectations, that's great, and obviously it goes down on your record, and that really counts. And when you get the trophy at the end of it, that's awesome. But you do kind of have to. You do have to squint a little bit when you see Sunil Narine hits a century or 40 balls like that. You do have to pump the brakes slightly.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm saying. What am I saying?
You're saying that basically there's a legacy element, isn't there? It has to be repeatable. Like, to be one of the best teams ever, you have to be able to. You have to show that you can do it over and over again. One season, it's not enough. It's what people are asking about England.
Have been great.
They have been incredible, but yeah, would this set of circumstances happen again? And we may never know, because some of them are quite old and they might just win the IPL and pack it in.
That is true. Like the Mumbai team from a few years ago, the one that we called the God Squad, I think we can reliably say they were as good as the hype.
Yeah.
I think if KKR win the tournament, potentially we come to that conclusion, but we're still at least two games away from that for them. Who is your MVP so far from Navneet as well, Max?
Yeah, well, obviously the answer is Sunil Narine, but he did then qualify that with not including chuckers. So that does make it a substantially more difficult question, because Narine is streets ahead of everyone else. I mean, and there are players that, you could turn to, for example, Jasprit Bumrah. He's taken 20 wickets. He's second in the wickets, and he's done it at an economy rate of 6.5, which is obscene in this IPL, let alone, any IPL, let alone this IPL, because of the number of runs you scored. But Mumbai are crap. So, It's hard. You can't really hard to give it to someone in a team that's been that bad. But it's not his fault. The Mumbai have been that bad.
Yeah.
So
And
I'd
I
consider
think
Bumrah and just the value
I
for
think
him to Mumbai as well.
I think there's an argument with that as well, that the rest of the bowling is so bad that Bumrah benefits from it. So I don't like another example of this. Jofra Archer playing for Rajasthan again. I think about 2019 was so much better than all of the rest of the bowlers that nobody did anything against him. Like it would be 2 overs of Test cricket from one end, and then like comedy cricket and sixes
Or
from the
catch
other.
up easy, yeah.
Yeah, so like nobody needed to do anything against the one bowler that could actually win the game for Rajasthan. So they didn't, and I think there's an element of that with Bumrah, although obviously having a great year. I think Kohli's in the conversation.
Yeah,
700 runs, striking at 155. That's a really good year by anyone's standard.
I mean, it's
Kohli standards.
Faster than everyone else in the top like 5 or 6 apart from Travis Head. You're not gonna match that because that's Travis Head.
He would be in the conversation too. Only played 12 games, so if you wanted to look at it from like a pure wins above average generated, he's capped a little bit. But if he played those 2 games, he opens the batting. Probably reasonable to assume he'd have got another 70 odd runs.
Well, he's averaging 48 at 200.
Yeah.
So if you just give him another 100, because that's roughly what the average says. He's looking good.
So a few names about. I mean, like the Sunil Narine has been the best player, though. If you want the actual answer,
that is the answer.
That is Max. Can we predict? Someone has asked us to predict the outcome of each of the remaining games so that we come to an IPL winner. If you do one prediction, I'll do the next, and we'll see who makes the final. So next game, KKR v Sunrisers. Who's going to win that?
Yeah, well, I said Sunrisers when we spoke before.
Okay,
I'll stick with that.
I am going to go for. I hate to say it, but Rajasthan Royals. I think they're going to end the dream. So we've got, that would mean we have Rajasthan Royals taking on Kolkata Knight Riders in like the de facto semi-final. Who's going to win that one?
Yeah, KKR, gotta be. It's got to be the top two shootout for the final. That's what we want to see.
And then I think KKR win the final.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And if KKR do that, to answer the question about
they then we can use your Chennai argument. Yeah.
Yes. Then I think at that point we have to say they would be up there with the legendary IPL sides. Max, final thing that I wanted to talk about was the county championship. Lots of action. If you want like the too long didn't read, Surrey are really good. They're going to win it. And in the second division, Sussex look quite good, and they're probably going to get promoted. And everything else is up to play. Is to play for. I'm sorry, are ridiculous. They're probably better than 3 or 4 Test nations.
Yeah, they're absolutely obscene. And I was talking about this with my mate yesterday, because a fellow Surrey fan who we go and watch Surrey with quite a lot. I mean, Surrey, for more detail on this weekend, playing Worcestershire, they were 11 for 4 batting first on Friday. And but then Ollie Pope and Dan Lawrence were just batting, and then they ended up being bowled out for 200 odd. But like you think you're 11 for 4, and you're still bowling at Ollie Pope and Dan Lawrence. They
won by 300.
A bit ridiculous.
They were 11 for 4, and they've won by 281 runs.
Yeah,
yes, that's.
But yeah, and that's without Will Jacks, Sam Curran, these kinds of players I want to like Reece Topley, the people who are off in the IPL, like Gus Atkinson. Sometimes he's been in and out a bit as well because they're managing his workload. It's stupid.
It is. We also had some England players in action. Zach Crawley got a double ton for Kent. That was a decent innings. He'd had a terrible start to the year, so he'd batted 7 times, scored 67 runs, and was getting out every 13 balls. He had the lowest average of any specialist batter in county cricket before getting his double ton today, and he did it in about 25 minutes. Classic Zach Crawley. So he's back in action just in time for, well, not quite just in time for the Test series to begin, but warming up slowly for the Test series. Ollie Robinson, remember him? He took 7 for 67 across the match in Sussex's win against Yorkshire. So again, a little bit of a slow start for him, but that's definite signs of progress.
Yeah, wickets in Div 2 count half though, don't they?
I don't know, do they? Pajara plays in that team. Sussex are a bit weird. As in they've got some players that are a bit too good, suspiciously good. Ben Stokes also back for Durham, doing his biannual game for them. Didn't last long with the bat. Nathan Lyon got him out after just 8 deliveries. But today he did bowl 20 overs and take a fifer. So
that's good.
That's good
Very
news.
Good
An England fan.
Yeah. That's great for Ben Stokes. Oh, I'll turn out for Durham for once in a blue moon, and he's batting against bloody Nathan Lyon, the last man he would want to see.
And final thing of any note is that Gloucestershire hit their record score, 706 for 6 declared. So well done to them.
On the back of their first win in about 2 years as well.
Yeah, well, everything's coming down Gloucestershire. Max, I think that's the end of the podcast. We will be back. The matches are on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday this week. We'll be trying to do a show after each of them, and then Sunday, obviously, for the final. Big week in the IPL, and we're looking forward to it.
Goodbye.